And let's see, I'm trying to orient this. Here is 14th Street is at the top. So the top is north, and the bottom is south. This is east. I'm sorry, this is east on this side, on the left side, and this is west. So you can see it has the street pattern and little cartoon drawings of all the various folks who lived in these different houses. It's fascinating. On the back, it has a little bit more information keyed to the numbers on the map, so you can really learn a little bit more about the famous people who lived on the Lower East Side, who have lived and continue to live on the Lower East Side of Manhattan in the area around Tompkins Square Park. So next time somebody says to you that they live, oh, you live in Alphabet City because you live in the Lower East Side, well, it's not just Alphabet City, right? Excuse me. I want to just go through a list just to give people an idea of some of the names here. We have Bop pioneer Charlie Parker, Allen Ginsberg, who I used to see when he was alive, walk down the street by where I live all the time. James Cagney, the actor. Leadbelly, Quentin Crisp, Andy Warhol, Susan B. Anthony lived on Bond Street. Edward G. Robinson, great actor. He attended PS 20 on Essex Street. There was the singer Iggy Pop. Does he live at the Chrysadora House, Iggy Pop? That's what it says here. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, yeah. As far as I know, the information on this map I've discovered to be quite accurate. I mean, some of this is beyond the area which we're talking about, but it just gives you a general idea of the people who've lived in our neighborhood. Now, I realize that
David Wojnarowicz came over to my house.
People who live in other areas, I'm sure that this is true of most of the areas of New York City. Now, the New York City landmark law, which was put into effect, as I said before, in the early 1960s, for instance, you cannot designate a building just because a famous person lives there. And this is something of a problem because people who come to the city from other parts of the United States and from Europe and from Asia and whatnot, they're really very interested in looking at houses where people that they are interested live in. For instance, I have a friend who happens to own the Charlie Parker residence. That's at 151 Avenue B, and people come from around the world to have their picture taken. So I think that there is really a growing impetus to attempt to landmark buildings in areas like the Lower East Side, where very important, culturally and politically important people live. And I don't know how much our organization is going to be doing about that. I want to say a few words, if I might, Paul, about the background of landmark preservation. And when you and I were chatting about this in preparation for the program, I mentioned that as far as the United States is concerned, the first incident that I know of where people got together to preserve a historic structure was in the 1850s when women in Virginia, the state of Virginia, got together to preserve and to gather together furniture and other artifacts from Mount Vernon, the home of George Washington. And prior to that, in England, the first episode that I know of was when people insisted that the Royal Pavilion at Brighton, which had been built by George IV in the 1820s, not be demolished. I mean, Queen Victoria hated it and wanted to get rid of it, but people got together to save that building. So this is an impetus that has a lot of something of a history. I have worked in efforts over the years on the Lower East Side to preserve the Ottendorfer Library on 2nd Avenue and St. Mark's Place.
What's that? Why is that worth preserving?
Well, the Ottendorfer Library was created in 1883 by Oswald Ottendorfer. It pre-exists the New York Public Library, and together with its I'm not going to call it its twin, but it's next to it is the Stuyvesant Polyclinic, and they were built the name of the architect eludes me momentarily, but a very well-known city architect who did many other buildings in the city, and it's a relic of the German-American presence in the East Village, the Lower East Side. And I've also worked with the East Village Community Coalition to landmark PS 64, and but what we have now is an ongoing organization. That's the Lower East Side Preservation Initiative, which will be working with.
What's this? This is www.lespi-nyc.org.
Okay, and information, and this is going to be an interactive website when we complete our web design, and so people will be able to make suggestions about buildings in the area that they're interested in preserving.